Okay, quick question. When was the last time that you visited a website and it just let you in? No cookie banner, no "we value your privacy" pop-up, and no terms and conditions that you honestly probably just scrolled past anyways. Right, me too. So here's what's actually happening every time you go online. Data is being collected about you constantly, and a lot of it is happening whether you clicked accept or not. But look, some of it is fine. Some of it is actually useful, but some of it is a little creepy. Let's get into it. Before we can get into the how, let's talk about the why. Because not all data collection is some shadowy operation. A lot of it is completely legitimate and honestly pretty useful. Take Google Maps for example, or any Maps app. The app collects data from millions of users, including things like location, travel speed, and how long you spend in a certain destination. And it uses that information to give you better directions and more accurate travel times. Pretty useful. And some of your favorite organizations do this all of the time to improve products, to understand what customers actually want, and to make services more relevant. They're real, legitimate reasons. But like most things, there's another side to this, and that's where it gets interesting. The most straightforward way that websites collect your data is also the most obvious. You fill out a form. You type in your name, your email address, your date of birth, your phone number. You hand it over voluntarily. Now that part, people understand, and they're mostly okay with it. What people think less about is everything else happening at the exact same time. So while you're browsing, websites are storing small pieces of data on your device called cookies.
I'm cute and delicious.
But unlike this cookie, a browser cookie is a small piece of data created by a web server and stored on a user's device by the browser. Cookies can track which pages you visited, items in a shopping cart, login details, search histories, language preferences, and personally identifiable information like names, email addresses, and phone numbers. So a browser cookie isn't just remembering what's in your shopping cart. Don't you dare tell them what's in my shopping cart.
Okay, I won't tell them about your bulk pack of extra strength deodorant. Or the
Okay,
foot
that's
cream
enough
for your
from you.
bunions. Wait, stop, no!
Now here's where it gets a little bit uncomfortable. Don't make the same mistake as the last one. Certain cookie contents can actually be exploited. A session ID, which is a unique identifier that the server generates to track your activities during a web session, can be stolen by an attacker to impersonate you and gain unauthorized access to your account. And that's without you having a weak password or doing anything wrong at all. They just grabbed the session ID and walked right in. Now cookies at least give you some control. You can clear them, you can block them, and some legislation in Europe and North America has actually given users the right to limit how much a website can collect through cookies. Better watch it, buddy. So that's something, which brings us to the method that really doesn't give you that option. Even with cookies disabled or cleared, websites can still identify you and track you with startling accuracy. And that technique is called browser fingerprinting. Browser fingerprinting is a tracking method where websites use JavaScript, HTML5 APIs, and network signals to collect and combine distinguishing features of your browser and device, generating a unique identifier that can track you across the web, even without cookies. And when we say unique, we mean it. Research by the Electronic Frontier Foundation found that browser fingerprinting accuracy was roughly 99%. They concluded that browser fingerprints should be considered personally identifiable information, which is a sentence that should kind of sit with you for a moment. So what's being collected? Just by landing on a page, a website can potentially know your browser type, your version, your installed plugins, your time zone, your language preferences, your screen resolution, your operating system, your CPU core count, your available memory, your GPU model, your installed fonts, your IP address, even your typing patterns and mouse movement behavior. And none of that requires you to fill out a form. And none of that requires you to click accept on anything. And before you think, okay, but surely this isn't enough to identify me specifically, It's not about any one piece of information. It's about combining them. Because your screen resolution alone tells them next to nothing, but your screen resolution plus your GPU model plus your installed fonts plus your time zone plus your typing patterns, that combination might actually be completely unique to you on the entire internet, like a fingerprint. And that's insane. And unlike an actual fingerprint, it's almost impossible to cover up. Now, let's talk about the data that you give away yourself, voluntarily, enthusiastically sometimes. Social media platforms collect an enormous amount of personal information, and a lot of people share details without really thinking about how public or permanent that information might become. And look, nobody's judging. We've all posted something and immediately thought, I should delete that. But there have been real cases of people posting vacation photos while they're away and burglars using that information to figure out when their homes are empty and robbing them. It's not hypothetical, it actually happens. In other cases, people have shared private photos through messaging apps, and those photos were then later shared without their consent, leading to harassment, bullying, or in some cases, even blackmail. And it's not just physical safety at risk. What you post publicly on LinkedIn or what you say on Reddit under a known username, what opinions you might put out there. That stuff follows you in ways that can affect your career and your reputation long after you have forgotten that you've said it. Because the internet has a very long memory. And the safest assumption that you can have is that anything you post is public and permanent. But that's not meant to make you paranoid. It is something that you should consider. And then there are the devices that you might not even think about as data collectors. Your smart speaker is listening for your wake word. Your fitness tracker knows your sleep patterns. Your thermostat knows when you're home and when you're not. Your smartwatch is collecting all sorts of data about you.
Your resting heart rate suggests that you might be genetically related to a panda.
Come on, am I? So although these devices are very useful, they're also very chatty. All of that data gets sent to cloud servers for processing, and if those devices aren't properly secured, that information can be exposed, or the device itself might become an entryway into your home network. And the same thing can apply in corporate networks. An unsecured IoT sensor in an office can be the weakest link that opens the door to a much larger network. So we've talked about data getting leaked, but not all data carries the same weight. And understanding the difference is actually pretty useful. Personal information like your first name, your age, your favorite sports team is kind of low risk because on its own, it doesn't directly identify you. Private information like your full name, your email address, your phone number, your date of birth, your home address, these things can directly identify you or be linked to your identity. And that's what we call PII, or personally identifiable information. And then there's confidential information, like your medical records, your financial data, employee details, internal business documents, stuff that's not meant for public disclosure. And then on top of that, there's sensitive information, like health records, biometric data, credit card numbers, government secrets, stuff like that, that if exposed can cause serious and lasting harm. But here's the part that people don't usually think about. Low-risk data doesn't always stay low risk. So for example, your first name kind of means nothing. But your first name plus your employer plus your neighborhood plus your daily routine, well, that combination starts to tell a story that you might not have meant to tell. Data doesn't have to be sensitive on its own to be sensitive in combination. And that's actually the core idea behind what we talked about earlier with browser fingerprinting. A single data point might not be the issue, but the sum of many can be. So, does this mean that the internet is out to get you? Not exactly, but it does mean that it's worth being a little bit more aware of what's happening in the background. Tracking can happen even when your browser is in private or incognito mode. By the way, just so you know, incognito mode stops your browser from saving your history locally, but it does not make you invisible to the websites that you visit or the networks that you're on. So if you're on your school or employer's Wi-Fi, you should probably close any unsavory tabs now. But if you want to reduce your exposure to browser fingerprinting, there are tools like Brave Browser or Tor Browser, which were designed for this task. Tor browser, in particular, is built so that all users appear similar, making individual identification much harder. But beyond that, just being thoughtful about the stuff that you share on social media, keeping your IoT devices updated and secured, and understanding that data collection is happening all around us in the background of most of our online activity. That sort of awareness alone will help keep your data yours. So, in summary, data collection is woven into basically every corner of the internet. You can opt out of some of it, but unfortunately not all of it. But you can be smarter about it than you were 10 minutes ago, which honestly is the best that any of us can do. So, go forth and be slightly more suspicious about everything.
Including me?
Everything.